G'day YouTube, JB from Oz. Well, it's another day off to work, so I thought I'd record a little bit of stuff. William Painters, love my face, mate. These guys have got such a funny ad campaign that they suckered me in. Obviously, they're a luxury item, but these ones, not being plastic, metal, hopefully it'll be the last pair of sunnies I buy for a very long time. So saves my eyes, saves my face, and yeah, hopefully it's a good investment. I'll put a link down below if you haven't seen them, but yeah, check them out. They're actually quite an innovative company, so I'm really supportive of that. I've done some tests this week. I wanted to see how printed plastic gears work on the lathe to quieten down the drivetrain. So I've got some footage here of the parts as they've come in, and also the tests I did for a replacement light switch for a motorbike for restorations, for Bruce Sherman restorations. Now Bruce is a really talented guy who does vintage restoration. He's a talented metalworker. He's also taken over from Octagon Manufacturing, a guy named Vic Longdon that I used to work with back in my childhood. The first new part that I bought from my Austin Healey Sprite when I was restoring it was a wiring harness, and the guy happened to live just around the corner from me, so I went around and said hello and paid my $240 for my vintage wiring harness, all cloth braided and everything like that, and we got talking, and he offered me a part-time job on the weekend. So every Saturday I'd come around and wire wrap or tape up anyway harnesses, because he had a fair amount of orders for some Mark II Jag rebuilds that were happening in New Zealand, and all the classic Austin Healeys and MGs and stuff that he was doing at the time. That lasted for a few years, and I sort of haven't spoken to Vic for a long time, and obviously, you know, he's much older than me, and he did pass away. I was really happy to hear that Bruce Sherman took on the Octagon Manufacturing name and the equipment and all of the legacy, and he still manufactures today a really awesome product, which anybody who's doing restoration anywhere in the world on classic vehicles really should check out, because his quality is second to none. His attention to detail is absolutely awesome. And yeah, he's a local guy doing local stuff, so highly recommend it. Check out Bruce. I'll put a link down below to his Facebook page and also to his webpage, Bygone Restorations and Spares. The other thing I've been working on lately is a little bit of metalwork. I showed some pictures on Instagram of a ornament that my wife has. It's a, I guess you would say, stylistic reindeer. And he fell off one of the shelves at one stage, I think probably on my watch, though I'm not sure about that. And his antler came off. And I did a repair initially with just cold solder, just soldering iron and a bit of solder. And that lasted for a short while, but it wasn't really the ideal repair. So recently I put it down, used a bit of copper as a heat sink underneath, and just used the TIG torch to fix up and rejoin the antler to the guy's head. I then heated it up and did an oil blackening on the shiny bright silver steel, and it's come up quite nice, so here's a little bit of footage of that as well. The other project that's on the list is in the Toyota Dinosaur, the old truck. The thermostat housing was pretty badly corroded, and I did a first repair on the face and also around the tubing. But I'm a bit of a novice when it comes to aluminium repairs, and the axis was a bit tight in one of these areas, and it did spring a leak, so I've come back in to do another job on that. And so here's some footage of the first part of the project, and hopefully I'll have a finished result there, and that goes back on the truck. We've also got to make up a clevis pin for the brakes. Part of the disassembly my brother was doing and reassembly, one of the clevis pins has gone missing. So that should be a pretty easy job on the lathe to just knock one of those up, so I'll probably do that tonight. I also managed to find I knew where to find, but I also managed to acquire recently a 5-speed gearbox out of a Datsun. 5-speed, all synchro with overdrive, which I want to do the bolt-in modification on the Austin Healey, because now that the motor is so sweet, the thing that lets it down is the gearbox. There's no overdrive in it, it's 4-speed, there's no synchros, it does jump out a bit, does rattle a bit, and it was a Bitzer gearbox that I put together 25 years ago. It's just been with me ever since. So ideally, once the Datto box goes in there, smooth overdrive, so it'll drop me in 1,000 revs or so, 0.82 overdrive I think in 5th gear. Just get me a little bit better cruising speed, a little bit more road comfort, and it's going to be a really nice car. I've also got a set of leather seats for that, so one project that's coming up will be to recover the seats. I expect when I pull the old seat covers off that there's likely to be a little bit of corrosion in the seat bases, so I may have to do a bit of a repair to those before I put them back together. So that might turn into a 2 or 3 part video, how to fix up an old vintage car seats. The Sieg X3, I finally have some room in the workshop now that the Rong Fu has moved on, and that is high up the list. Part of that reasoning is that I've got some parts I'd like to make up for the gearbox conversion, which would be pretty cool. I also, recently we celebrated winter solstice with the family, and I've managed to acquire through my lovely wife this Quail 2020 horizontal steam engine. So that'll be a project that will be coming up shortly on the channel as well. So there's no shortage of stuff to do and no shortage of interesting things to play with. And the move from Balcatta, that continues to go on, where now that the family business has been sold on, we're just finalising clearance of that stuff. We also have a machine that is up for sale. It's the SIP Hydroptic 6 jig boring machine. Now this is the Rolls Royce of jig boring machines. It's absolutely huge, massive, super accurate beyond belief. I'll put a link down below to the Flickr photo series of that one, also to the advert where we're listing that one for sale. So if any of you out there knows anybody interested, or if you're interested, please get in touch. We're seeking expressions of interest on that. Also, we have the SAG lathe and an Archdale radial arm drill. So there's links to those down below as well. Again, seeking expressions of interest. They're located in Perth, Western Australia at the moment. The SIP is probably going to be a massive machine to move, but once it's on a truck or a ship, it's just weight. So I think for that machine, given that it comes with all the tooling, it's the sort of thing that only comes up once in a lifetime. So it might just tickle your fancy, or somebody you know. Get in touch. Shoot me through an email, jb@designlab.cx, and let's talk. It isn't mine, it's Dad's, so he's the one who talks numbers. I just sort of feed people through to him. But yeah, at this point in time, it doesn't have a home. We've had an offer on it, which at the end of the day is lower than I think it should be, but it's an offer, so money talks. Yeah, other than that, what else is happening in the competition? The tool making competition was recently announced at the Barzy Summer Bash. Bruce, Emma, and a number of other people from Australia are over there at the moment, or on their way back. And Max Grant, Swan Valley Machine Shop, sorry. He was the winner of the optical comparator, so I'm extremely jealous of him. I was an entrant in that competition, but it's a very well deserved win. He did an absolutely awesome job and kept me guessing right to the end as to what his tool actually was. But you can see the use of that tool once he's done it is just, yeah, super good. So well done, Max, and all the other entrants. Obviously the Flatstones went to Chris Anderson, and Tommy Gun Machining was also a winner there. He came away with the GoPro prize for cinematography. So yeah, super video, lots of great entries this year, and strength to strength. Emma's done a really good job getting this up and underway. I missed out on a Douglas Shaper this week. One came up locally for $500, and I was 23 minutes away from being the first person to get in touch. And of course, that 23 minutes is critical when you're dealing with a bargain like that. So I was looking for one for my own shop. I've fallen in love with Dad's, and he's holding on tight to his. So yeah, if you know anybody with a Douglas Shaper going cheap, let me know, because I'd like to CNC up the table on one. Do some neat work with extending the gear cutter on the Shaper to doing cycloids or some helical gearing and that sort of stuff. So yeah, watch this space if that ever comes into the shop. But I've got many projects in front of me already, and the list that you've just heard about is quite short. Also on the way, hopefully soon, is the winder for the coils. So it counts the turns. It's a mechanical winding mechanism, so I can wind the coils for the motor in the DeWalt radial arm saw, 3-phase motor. And also on the way is the CAN bus tools. So I think I mentioned that earlier as well. Haven't arrived yet, but any day now, they say.
I'll do it anyway.
Well, postscript, addendum, whatever. Finally, my long-awaited shipment of Electroluminescence has finally arrived. Those of you who have seen things like the Fran Lab Disky project, or indeed Applied Engineering's, they're working with electroluminescence and phosphors. And my darling wife wanted to make a neon sign in the house. And I said, hang on, hold my beer. So we're going to use this to make essentially a miniature neon sign illuminated with electroluminescent wire. So pretty cool. Range of different colours. The red is by far the brightest. EL only really works in dark environments. It's no good in normally well lit places. But the benefit of EL is it's a very planar light, especially if you've got a flat plane of EL, and you can see it for miles. We were researching its use in deployable landing strips, that sort of stuff, so that you could actually have a roll of EL, or EL cat's eyes as it were, just rolled out. And they have incredible vision at distance, especially through smoke and fog. Because it is a planar source of light, you get a direct transference through refractive indexes like smoke and fog, that you can still see lights from a much greater distance than a standard point source of light. So very exciting stuff, military grade sort of stuff. They probably do actually use it in military because they wouldn't have a budgetary concern. Maybe emergency services, but possibly the budgets are a bit more restricted there. But an amazing tech nonetheless. So there you go, EL rope, another project. So yeah, just a quick update. Thanks heaps for watching, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe, click on the bell so you get notifications. Please let everybody know about my tiny little channel here in Western Australia. Thanks guys, have a great day, catch ya.